Welcome to the Real Brain Wrap, where we unwrap trends and social progress through media. I'm Greg.
And I'm Ty.
And today we are unwrapping comedy. We are taking off that nice bow that comedy has and unwrapping it. And inside we find a dead frog, because that's usually what happens when you dissect comedy.
It takes all the fun out of it. Or makes it more fun.
Look, it's Kermit, kids!
Why are there so many songs about rainbows? And what? Oh no, I'm falling apart.
See, you think that we're taking all the fun out of it, but you get dead frog humor and a half Kermit impression. You're welcome, everyone.
Anyways, we're going to take this dead frog and get out of this scene. But for now...
Missed a leg.
French stuff.
But we're particularly looking at different types of comedies and finding out what they really belong in.
I had an idea or a question trying to figure out what makes a decent comedy, what makes a decent parody, something like Mel Brooksian type film versus something more modern, like some of the later scary movies that didn't do so well. Trying to figure out like what separates them. In doing so, we have brought you here today in this episode. So, I guess a good place to start would be parodies. What's the definition of parody?
A parody is the imitation and exaggeration for the sake of comedy.
Okay.
So it's imitating something and then usually exaggerating the qualities to a certain point for the sake of humor. That thing that you're parodying could be a specific artist or director, a specific genre, a specific style, but for the most part, it's imitation for the sake of comedy.
Yeah.
It's for the sake of making a joke.
Many years back in 1903, a man by the name of Edwin S. Porter, he made a movie called The Great Train Robbery. 2 years later, in 1905, the same guy made The Little Train Robbery. One takes place on a train, and it's a robbery. It's what it sounds like. But The Little Train Robbery, Edwin S. Porter decided to make the same movie, but with children.
In a tiny train.
A tiny train set. And same plot line, just cuter. It's widely regarded as the first parody. It's very unique in the sense that it's someone parodying their own work. We get, further in the future, we get other examples like Young Frankenstein, which is parody of Frankenstein. Spaceballs, Star Wars. Robin Hood Men in Tights, Robin Hood. And these are all just Mel Brooksian films I'm bringing up right now. Meet the Blacks, not another teen movie.
The spy ones from the 1960s. The Casino Royale 1967.
Oh, OK Connery?
OK Connery.
Yeah. Was Sean Connery's brother playing
James Bond's brother.
Yeah.
I think that movie's a mess.
There was Zorro the Gay Blade.
There's been a lot of parodies throughout time. We're not going to mention them all right now.
It gives you kind of an example of what parodies are and what the kind of movies that parodies are. Now let's rewind a little bit. Talk about satire. What does satire mean?
It's essentially doing the same thing, but with the intent of revealing human ignorance or social or political injustice. Like, it's taking that exaggerated, humored approach to satirize what our reality is right now, what our world is right now. Usually with a point, with a reason for why it's telling us what it's trying to tell us. Satire has gone back for a very long time. It's gone back to Greek writers, to the point where the types of satire that we still derive from today are, there's three types. Mm-hmm. One of them is Horatian, one is Juvenalian, and the other one is Menippean. I'm going to pronounce these wrong again. And
Not linguists.
And it's interesting to find what falls into which categories, because Horatian, based off the works of Horace, more humorous, more jokey, and more haha, like, hey, we noticed that this is a bad thing, but let's joke about it, right? It's okay, haha. It's trying to rib at something that's wrong, but while also protecting himself, I guess, at the same time.
If only because of how lighthearted they're being about it. In their animated Disney film Robin Hood, when they're putting on the little play of Prince John, but they're all having such a good time about it. Is that somewhat like Horatian satire, even though they are kind of digging into him really hard. But
Yeah, no, I don't know. I think it might be more juvenile because it's really like because juvenile or juvenalian satire is much more specific. It's targeting one specific thing. It's usually targeting they'll target a person or a political system specifically or something like that, and it's very much making fun of the thing or angrily trying to spark in like not riot, but like at least fury about said subject matter.
Yeah.
So it's much more angry. It's much more attacking the thing. And then Manipian is a little weird because all of his actual works are lost, and the only examples of his works that we have are from one of his like followers. I think his name is Varro. Pretty sure about that. Correct me if I'm wrong. His last name is Varro, and sometimes Manipian satire is known as Varonian satire because of that, because he was his main follower, and the only works we have of Minipe are quotations from Varro about his works. And it's a little looser and harder to grasp what the deal with that satire is. It seems like it's basically just absurdism from what I can gather from it, is that it's not specifically targeting anyone or anything, but it's talking about a lot of different things. It seems it's a little less focused and a lot more about indulging in the fantasy and absurdist versions of these things that it's trying to talk about. The weird thing is that part of the reason why this is an interesting subject to discuss, because Horatian satire almost comes across as parody, because it is lighthearted just to make jokes and rib, but it is supposed to still be satire. It's still supposed to be about something. And so that's why I was like, I feel like good examples might be certain Mel Brooks movies that are like definitely making fun of and making a lot of jokes, exaggerated jokes, like Blazing Saddles or something. Right. But it's still about something. It's at the end of the day, it's still about something. It's just we all had a good laugh in the meantime.
I remember you told me once about the more deeper hidden meaning in Blazing Saddles was.
Yeah.
It was something along the lines of Mel Brooks saying, "Please stop glamorizing the Old West." It really wasn't all that great.
Full of disgusting racists.
Disgusting racist and full of men sitting around a campfire eating beans and farting.
Yeah.
That's more the Old West was about.
Yeah, and it was around for like 50 years, and that was it. We've made so many Westerns that the amount of time of film that we've made is longer than the amount of time the Old West existed or something like that.
It's the mash of movie genres.
Like Meet the Spartans. That's really more of a parody. That's not a Horatian satire. I'm sorry.
It's not really saying anything about culture or anything like that. It's just parody. It's just
parodying a specific movie, in fact. Thanks for tuning in. This has been The Real Brain Wrap, where we've been talking comedy. We'll talk comedy again on another episode. We hope you join us again. I'm Ty.
I'm Greg, and please follow us on OBNooT, OBNooT, over on Instagram. Please follow us here at The Real Brain Wrap. Hit subscribe and hit the notification button if you want to be notified when we post our videos. Tune in next time.
Be real.
And keep on laughing.